Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, and all those terrible Jay and Silent Bob type pictures, man. You're listening to Drop the Mic, the only podcast that I listen to that I'm not a part of. Every podcast I listen to, I usually talk on it, but not fucking Drop the Mic. That's where I'm like, let me hear what the boys have to say. And now, we drop the mic.
What's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst scenario? He's gonna come here. Ask me. I'm gonna say no. Do the job. No, Don. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. I can't. You can. I can't. Don't do this. Do what? What am I doing? This. This what?
I know a bloke who knows a bloke who knows a bloke. Now, you know this bloke.
Do I?
This is a bloke you know. Wants me to put a team together.
8 men. Strong. Good boys. Gotta be good boys. Look dumb.
Look dumb?
It's like this.
Like what?
I'd be useless.
Useless?
I would be.
In what way?
In every fucking way.
Why are you swearing? I'm not swearing. You think you just make you down, leave the table, lie on your pool like a fat blob laughing at me? Do you think I'm gonna have that?
Do it. I'm retired.
Do you think I'm stupid? Some twat!
I'm not really up to it.
Is your middle name ungrateful or what?
I'm retired.
Are you gonna do the job? It's not a difficult question. Yes or no? Say it. You see, gal, where there's a will, and there is a will,
There's a way. There's always a way.
Welcome back to our humble San Diego podcast. We are your hosts, Wesley Swanson and Chris Pawlak, and this is episode 345, The Tenacious D, as in Dawn, where we will be discussing a massively underrated film from the year 2000 called Sexy Beast. But before the movie breakdown, let's get warmed up, shall we? What's up, Chris?
What's up? Happy New Year.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Exciting stuff. What a movie you picked, man. You're always picking these sleeper hits.
This is one of my favorites. We'll get into it when we get on the air. Surprisingly timely all of a sudden.
Yeah.
For various reasons, which we'll get into in a moment. But also, I just want to say, like, when we set this schedule back in December at Christmas time, I had no idea that it was going to be timely, almost like to the day.
It's like all of these things make it relevant. Telling you, man, this show, right?
Yeah.
And now for a special news report. Brought to you by Drop the Mic.
Nothing huge, just some stuff I wanted to mention. As always, have a death notice. Want to give a shout out to Norman Jewison, R.I.P. Famous film director. Had his hand like in so many different genres. Mm-hmm. Let me throw out some of his big movies. In the Heat of the Night, great film. The Thomas Crown Affair, good movie. I like the McTiernan remake better. Fiddler on the Roof, Rollerball. The McTiernan remake of that is garbage. And Justice for All with Al Pacino, Moonstruck, great movie. And The Hurricane, which comes up every now and then on this podcast when we talk about movies and performances from 1999.
Yes.
So, just died, 97. It's a good life. Unfortunately, I don't think he directed a movie in about the last 20 years or so. I think he was retired, but had a very successful and varied career. So, give him a shout out.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. You know how I feel about the Oscars sometimes, but we had nominations come out this week. Oppenheimer leading the pack has 13, Poor Things with 11, Killers of the Flower Moon with 10, and Barbie with 8, and unfortunately is missing 2 very big ones, I think, because Greta Gerwig did not get nominated for a Best Director, and Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for a Best Actress, and I think both of those are performances and jobs that got overlooked and should have been recognized. I was looking. There's some really tough races. Honestly, I really hope that Gladstone gets an award for her performance in Killers of the Flower Moon because she's absolutely the heart of that movie and she's fantastic in it. She does have some serious competition from Emma Stone, though.
I still need to see Poor Things.
Watch Poor Things. It's pretty great. But, yeah, just keep an eye out. I think those air in March, so we probably will be discussing some stuff back in March as to what they did right, what they did wrong. And then last one, Tenet returning to theaters at the end of February. Warner Brothers is giving it a re-release for a week, kind of in a lead-up to Dune Part 2. It's supposed to screen in 70mm and in IMAX. I don't know if it's going to appear just like regular on digital screens. It might, but I know that they're making a big push for IMAX and for 70mm again. As being a weird release when it came out during the pandemic, and not great times during the pandemic either. It's not like it was winding down. It was still very much
ramping up.
Yeah. We discussed years ago. I got the chance to see it in the theater because I was running 70mm at the time. Like seeing it in the theater because I'm a big screen guy, so that was awesome. But you know that I had issues with the sound mix in the theater, which is kind of Nolan's deal lately. But when I did watch it on HBO, like, I don't know, 6 months after that, the sound mix on HBO was so much better. And I could understand everything.
It was different.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if there's going to be any kind of tweaks to the sound when they do the re-release. I would love to see it again in the theater, depending on where it's going to play. So I would recommend anyone who either hasn't seen it or was forced to watch it, you know, under not great circumstances at home, on a smaller screen, definitely check it out. It's a good movie. It just suffered from a poor sound mix.
What does this mean for Nolan and Warner Brothers? Are they trying to get him back?
I think so. I think I had read that. I think Nolan was kind of like, you know, it's water under the bridge now, but I believe he has a contract with Universal, who he went to. I believe they have, you know, so many movies for them before he might be able to shop elsewhere. But personally, I just stick with Universal. Warner Brothers is kind of a trash organization right now. Stick with Universal. I think Warner Brothers really wants him back because, you know, he's had the most success with them. And it was pretty awesome that his movie that came out this year for Universal made almost $1 billion. I'm wondering, I don't know, but it might be now, maybe even adjusted for inflation, but I think it might be his biggest hit. I'm going to guess that either The Dark Knight or Inception probably made more, but both of those are, you know, 10 and 15 years old.
All right, I have just one for this week. Go check out Godzilla -1 Color.
Yes.
Which is playing in theaters right now. But
you haven't watched it at all, right?
No.
Not even since we did the Best Of show?
No, I haven't made it out.
Watch it. It's fucking worth it.
And they were nominated, right? For visual effects.
For visual effects. And I can say, like, the effects in that movie are really awesome.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
One, speaking of the Oscars and speaking of a movie which you should check out American Fiction. It is fantastic. Just got nominated for Best Picture, along with my guy Jeffrey Wright, got nominated for Best Actor. Love him. Currently in the middle of a Westworld rewatch right now, and loving all the Jeffrey Wright stuff. Dude has always been a good actor. I think he's kind of underrated, and he's fantastic in American Fiction. It's a shame that got a wide release in January, and I couldn't get a chance to see it last year before we did the Best Of, because that might have been my favorite movie of last year.
Oh, okay.
And it's so fucking funny. So I highly recommend it. Anyone not familiar with the basic plot of it, he's a black writer who writes, you know, serious fiction, but it's like he can't get noticed unless he writes, you know, stereotypical black novels with like gangsters and guns, and I don't want to give too much away, but he he kind of does that just as a fuck you, and it backfires on him, and all of a sudden starts gaining all kinds of acclaim. But it's seriously, it was one of the best comedies from last year. It's up there with like Poor Things and Bottoms and Barbie, as far as like laughs per minute with me. It was so fucking funny. And Adam Brody has a couple of scenes.
Oh, nice.
He's always been one of our favorites. And there's just the first meeting. He has a meeting with Jeffrey Wright at one point, and just the way that they interact during that first meeting had me fucking rolling. So I highly recommend American Fiction, especially now. It's probably going to be a bit wider now because it just got nominated for Best Picture. So definitely worth it. Spend the time, spend the money, go check that out.
American Fiction.
American Fiction. And my second one is a documentary, not the TV show on Apple, which I heard is very good, but I have yet to watch. But it's a documentary from, I think, 1989 called For All Mankind. It's about, like, the Apollo missions.
Okay.
And America's 6 missions to the moon. Much like the Apollo 11 documentary was 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, because we lost all that time to the pandemic. It's so good. Just seeing that footage is amazing. Seeing footage that you might not have seen before. You have, much like the Apollo 11 documentary, which didn't have any kind of talking head stuff. That one was kind of told all in just the visuals and what's happening. This one, For All Mankind, has, some narration from some of the astronauts, but you don't have like the talking heads talking about their experiences. You're just hearing their voiceover and how they felt, and what the moon is like, and what it's like seeing Earth from such a distance. Very, very good documentary. Had wanted to see it for years and got a chance to watch it on Turner Classic Movies, and it was amazing. And because I'm a big space nerd, like it was really incredible for me to see that, and I enjoyed it very much. I think it's available on Criterion as well.
Do you know how much that is?
I don't know, but if you go on like Amazon or Criterion, it's probably around $25.
Okay. I
think Criterion's website's always a little bit high unless they have a good sale going. But I recommend the documentary. Can't speak on the TV show because I haven't watched the TV show. Like the fictionalized version of like what if America didn't win the space race. But yeah, check out the documentary For All Mankind, all about the Apollo missions.
Awesome stuff, dude.
What you got?
Rex for this week. Still just watching True Detective.
Are you in the new season?
Yes.
Okay. Very good?
It is. So far.
All right. I haven't watched it because I like watching
stacking them up.
Yeah, stacking them up and then being able to watch the entire show. Even, I told you I was doing the Westworld rewatch. Even that plays so much better when I'm able to watch, like an episode a night or something, instead of waiting years between seasons. And then you're just like, I don't remember half the shit that happened in the last season. So I like stacking things up. We've discussed this many times on the show.
Especially with something like that where it's very, a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're going to enjoy it.
Love it. Love Jodie Foster. I'm always excited when she's back on screen.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
Right, so we're talking about your film. It's Your Takeover, and it's Sexy Beast.
Good movie.
It's rated R. It's from 2000, technically. It's a crime thriller. It runs at 1 hour and 28 minutes. It's so short.
Yeah, it's like it moves so fast.
87 on Rotten. Well-deserved. Written by Louis Mellis and David Shinto. Directed by the great Jonathan Glazer. Starring Ben Kingsley, Ray Winstone, Ian McShane, Amanda Redman, and Kevin Kendall.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Sexy Beast tells the story of Gal, a middle-aged retired professional London thief who, while enjoying his free time in Spain, is visited by a ruthless figure from his dark past. The project was director Jonathan Glazer's debut in the film world, having been experienced in both television commercials and music videos beforehand. However, Sexy Beast feels like it was executed by a seasoned director. Despite its brief runtime, the film boasts some all-around great performances, especially that of Sir Ben Kingsley, who was nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar that year. This was released in the U.S. on June 15th, 2001, and although it was met with overall praise, it would gross just $10.2 million against its $4.3 million budget. Overall, the film's offbeat rhythm and compelling dialogue, mixed with at times surreal cinematography and situations, make for one fun and unique take on the British gangster subgenre. 4 out of 5 boulders. Thank you.
Well, again, had no idea that this movie was going to be timely. And just this week, as we discussed earlier, Glazer got nominated for Best Director for his new film called The Zone of Interest, which came out this year. And I believe The Zone of Interest is also one of the Best Picture nominees.
Is that still playing?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I think it was like very, very limited. But once Oscar stuff gets announced, things tend to go wide, like big time. Mm-hmm. I even saw that they're bringing back Oppenheimer and Barbie and Poor Things. Well, Poor Things is still playing. Past Lives I saw was coming back.
Have you seen that yet? I
haven't watched that yet, but that's one that I heard very good things on, and someone said, don't watch it. And that someone was Susie. Yeah. She was like, I wish I hadn't wasted my time with that. So that's why when she recommends something, I don't know if I can trust what she says, because it seems like she's always diametrically opposed to the other stuff that I hear. That's why I asked you about Saltburn. What do you think about Past Lives?
Past Lives is...
Because I know you and Ryan did a show on it.
I had to watch it a couple times. But I think it's good. It's well made. I think that they pulled all the story has all of the toxicity taken out of it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's why maybe a lot of people aren't going to think it's as good, because of it doesn't have that drama element that mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of people are looking for in a story dynamic like that. But if you can set that aside and watch it for what it is, I think it's near perfect, very art house. Mm-hmm. So go into it knowing that, but yeah, it's good, especially for a directorial debut from Celine Song. It's pretty solid.
Okay. It's another one that's on my list, and I'll get around to it soon, hopefully. I'm not one that's usually like, I need to watch all the Oscar movies before the Oscars, because I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about that, and I never watch them, and I really don't give a shit. But it's one of those that's on the list, and when I have a little bit more free time, or not so much stuff on the plate that I need to get watched ahead of that, then I will. Maybe I'll do the double feature, that and Saltburn.
Speaking of Talking Heads, speaking of A24, this Stop Making Sense, they just dropped the new 4K restoration.
Cool.
Physical.
Cool.
So you can pre-order
it was out in the fall in IMAX.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I want to check it out. That's a great concert film.
It is. Probably one of the best.
The great Jonathan Demme directed it. So yeah, Glazer gets a Best Picture and a Best Director nomination this week. And I'm telling you, like, doing my notes, since I jumped into the notes very early, I saw that at some point in time they were talking about doing a prequel series that was in development at the Paramount Network, which I think used to be like Spike, like the Spike channel or Spike TV or whatever that channel was.
Yeah.
Became the Paramount Network. And then just eventually got scrapped. And then a couple years ago, apparently it got resurrected and was supposed to play on the Paramount Network. And just last week, I see that show is going to start tomorrow, Like, as we're recording this.
For Paramount Plus.
It's going to start on Paramount Plus, like, within the next 24 hours sometime. Which is it's crazy. I had no idea that when we set the schedule back at Christmas time that show was going to line up exactly when we were going to talk about the film.
Yeah, when I was kind of diving into my research, I kept seeing this, ads for this new thing, and I was like, did Chris, do
No idea. Had no idea that you were even talking about a TV show until I was doing the research.
And also, how bizarre. This is what you're trying to, to adapt this.
As you said, it only made $10 million. Like, how many people have seen this movie or know about this movie? It's obviously not a super popular movie.
So,
have you seen the trailer?
For the new one?
Yeah,
no,
for the TV
just
show.
stills and stuff like that. And
I wasn't sold in the least. Maybe that's because I have such a strong connection with the film. But also, I wish I had names to give you, but whoever is playing Don Logan, does not have the presence, cannot hold a candle to Kingsley in this film, who fucking blows everyone else off the screen in the 30 minutes he's in this movie, maybe a little bit more.
Absolutely astounding, especially when you think of what he was known for before this.
Yeah, for playing like the most peaceful person on the planet in Gandhi. And then he's like such a psychotic in this. It's so funny. And I think that was even like the story at the time was like, oh yeah, this guy played, Gandhi, a very famous, non-violent, very peaceful person. And this guy is insane.
Before I forget, I want to veer off for just a second here. Have you heard about the new Roadhouse?
I have seen that trailer.
You saw the trailer?
I did see the trailer.
Thoughts?
Is that fucking Conor McGregor in the movie? That guy's such a fucking clown. Why employ him? Jesus. Like, I love Gyllenhaal. Full disclosure, I'll probably end up watching the movie just out of some kind of morbid curiosity.
It is a Prime exclusive, I think.
Yeah, and I think I heard Lyman was like really upset. I don't think it's going to get like a theatrical release.
He's boycotting it now because
it's just going to go straight to Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Fuck that. I feel bad for him. And I mean, talking Nolan at the top of the show, that's exactly why he was so pissed off with Warner Brothers is, that all these movies are going to go straight to HBO Max at the time because of the pandemic, that he was upset by that. So I can see, like, you make a movie, you want people to see it in a theater on a big screen, and it's, most people are going to watch it at home. Now, obviously, you and I are different than a lot of other people who just don't give a shit, who will watch a movie on their fucking phone. I want to see a movie in the theater. I don't care what movie it is. I don't care if it was made for $30 or if it was made for $300 million. Like, I still want to watch it in a movie theater.
And also, it does look like they pump some money into that.
Yeah, it takes place like in Florida or something.
The
Keys, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And plus, like, who's the bad guy? It's like Billy Magnuson, right?
So is Connor supposed to be?
He's like the Terry Funk role.
Oh, okay.
Or not the Terry Funk role. He's the not Timothy Oliphant role.
Oh yeah. I used to fuck guys like you at prison.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna work that line in there.
They
will. That's a pretty famous line from that movie.
They worked that other line in. Was a few seconds into the after the slap match. He's like talking to the nurse, and she's like, "Oh, like, do you always win fights?" And he's like, "Nobody ever wins a fight." Swayze, dude.
R.I.P. Swayze. Again, like, I'll probably end up watching it because Gyllenhaal is in it, and Doug Liman, beyond a couple of movies, is fairly solid.
Yeah, I was really surprised that he took us on.
Yeah, it's been a while since he's had a movie, if I remember correctly.
And also, they probably, again, just like I said with that River Wild reboot, they could have called it something else.
Yeah.
You don't have to always try to ride the tail feathers of something out of nostalgia. Yeah. They pushed the whole UFC thing, so it's kind of its own thing, right?
Like when they had the Karate Kid remake, only it was Jackie Chan and it wasn't even karate, but they still called it karate.
What a huge oversight. And I think I've said that like 1 billion times on this show already. How How do you not catch something like that? And then they're going to bring him back with
Was it going to pop up like in the TV show now?
God damn it! What's the original kid's name?
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio. They're pairing up for a new movie,
What the fuck?
and they're saying that it's not going to be connected to Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai rules. I love that show, but they're saying that it's like its own entity thing, and I'm just like, so what are you
So
guys?
is he still
doing?
going to be like Daniel LaRusso and
Something like
or
that. I
LaRusso?
guess.
Is it LaRusso?
Yeah, LaRusso.
LaRusso. Okay.
Yeah.
He's still going to be like Daniel LaRusso, only it's going to have nothing to do with the TV show where he plays that same character.
Yeah, it's so fucking silly. I hope they were lying, and that it's going to be like some kind of, farewell for the show. Because how else are you going to? I don't know. It's just so silly.
Is Jaden Smith going to be in it?
I don't think so. They've only announced Jackie is with Ralph. I don't know.
Whatever. What are your thoughts on the Roadhouse? Just
It looks like how I envisioned it was going to look.
yeah.
I love Gyllenhaal just like you. I wasn't crazy about them casting Connor. That feels like a cash grab to me.
Yeah.
They're grabbing this guy because they know he's like known for being a live wire. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll watch it, like you said, out of morbid curiosity, but you can't.
Hey, they're gonna get views out of us, so like we're the suckers in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I saw it and I was like, "What the? Come on, man!" I mean, I've been saying that the entire time that they've been talking about doing this movie, but
It's some like really bad writing, and I understand that Roadhouse isn't like the greatest writing ever already, but it works.
we discussed this years ago when we did the episode. Like, it's a good cult film, especially being made in the 80s like that. And like Swayze was always awesome.
Yeah,
he always had like the gravitas and the charisma
to just make it work.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that Gyllenhaal doesn't have that, because he obviously does. As far as the TV show for Sexy Beast goes, I don't think I'm going to give that my time. Obviously, like, if it's not Ben Kingsley or Ray Winstone, I really don't care. And the dude playing Don Logan, it looked like they were trying so hard to give him edge, and like try to like make it seem like he would become like the character that Ben Kingsley is in the film. But get out of here with that shit. That guy doesn't hold a candle to Kingsley.
I mean, that's pretty big shoes to fill anyway.
Yeah.
And neither of us have Paramount Plus anyway.
I technically do now.
Oh, you do?
Because I have cable. I'm one of the few that still has cable because I can find a lot more shit on there sometimes.
So when you have that station, they give you...
I have Showtime, which is now Showtime with Paramount Plus. So a lot of the Paramount Plus stuff is being shown on Showtime currently.
Okay.
Like the Halo series was on there, and there was something else that was like a Paramount Plus show that all of a sudden... Mayor of Kingstown with Jeremy Renner. I've been recording because I was interested to check that out. That's airing on Showtime now. So I don't know if it's going to be like same time that it's airing on Paramount Plus or will eventually find its way to Showtime. But I've seen a lot of Paramount Plus properties showing up on Showtime all of a sudden. So
yeah, I think they have some kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're both... Showtime is owned by Paramount.
Oh, okay.
So they have that, but I don't know if that was beginning of the year or sometime right after New Year's. Showtime became like Paramount Plus with Showtime. So I'm curious to see how that show gets reviewed. And who watches it, how familiar they are with the film. I will tell you this. It got released, as you said, in June of 2001 in the United States. I don't know why it's considered the 2000 movie.
Maybe that's when it ran on Sundance or something.
Maybe. I think it played like the Cannes Film Festival or Venice or something, like a few months before Venice or Toronto. Something that happens a few months before the end of the year. And then it actually got released in the UK like just after the new year, and then comes out in the States in January. I saw this movie no less than 6 times in the theater, I watched the shit out of it because I was obsessed. This Kingsley performance is off the charts, wild. Love the movie. I feel bad to say that I did not contribute very much to the 10 million gross.
You saw it for free.
Because working in the movie theater industry, especially where it was playing at the time, I knew the management of that theater, so I went to school with them actually, and they would always like hook me up every time I went to that theater because they knew that I worked for a theater as well. So many times I saw this movie. I think I only actually paid for it once or twice. Sorry, but when you can get in for free, why not?
Was this a limited release? Do you remember?
Yeah, because the theater I worked for at the time did not have it.
Okay.
I was watching it up at the La Jolla Landmark.
Okay.
RIP, because even that's no longer. I think the only landmark around San Diego right now is Hillcrest. I think everything else is gone, which is unfortunate. Obviously, the Ken we had, the eulogy for years ago because we both loved that theater.
Yes.
But I used to go up to the La Jolla Landmark all the time. I loved that theater. I watched Mulholland Drive there a shitload of times that same year too.
Again, I'm not surprised by that statement.
To be fair, even though I wasn't paying for my ticket most of the time, I would always buy something at the snack bar.
Nice.
Because, as everyone knows, like the snack bar is where they actually make the money. And I was more than happy to do that, especially since I was getting in for free.
So this was a limited release?
So this was a limited release. So all the times I saw it was at the Landmark La Jolla 4.
Because I remember being a kid and this coming out on video, but I'd never heard, like, there was no big marketing push. Not really, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was 23 and a half years ago, almost 24 years ago. I'm old, so forgive me if I don't remember the details of how I knew about this movie.
I know they were pushing it on, you remember when VHS used to have, like, previews?
Yeah.
A good amount of previews.
Yeah.
I remember, when this was about to drop, they had Sexy Beast everywhere.
Okay. I don't know what movies it was being advertised with, since it's Fox Searchlight. What was Fox Searchlight around that same time? The Deep End? Have you ever seen The Deep End with Tilda Swinton?
I know about it, but no.
It's a good movie. She gives a great performance in it, and I think that was Fox Searchlight, even though I believe that came out a couple months later. I'm not sure exactly how I knew about it. I just knew that the first time I watched it, absolutely floored, and then went back. I think I even saw it 3 times in 1 week. I would just keep bringing like various people to come and check this movie out, and then Joel and I were watching it like 3 or 4 times.
So he loves it as well?
He loves it too, yeah. The last time I watched it before we sat down to do the show, he and I watched it at my house, and we did the double feature. Then we ended up going and seeing Reservoir Dogs at the Ken.
Oh, wow.
For like a midnight show. It was like, he came to my house to kick it, and then we watched Sexy Beast. And then we went to the Ken to watch Reservoir Dogs.
What a double feature that is.
Yeah. It was like, let's go watch the heist double feature. Since this is technically a heist movie, even though the heist is only the last third of the film.
It's so fast.
Yeah. And again, like, Kingsley is so electric in this movie, but he's in it, I think, a little more than a third of the film, but a lot less than half of the film. He's maybe got like half hour, maybe 33 minutes of the movie.
But he still has technically a presence, right?
He's
still affecting people.
Yeah, he still haunts the edges. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking about a movie that's 24 years old. I think we can spoil it. That's fine.
Yeah.
He does end up getting killed.
Very violently.
Yes. Dropping a TV on someone is like a real hardcore way to kill someone.
He's also very much egging on everybody, right?
Yeah.
Just not stopping.
Yeah. And again, he gets a TV dropped on his head is what the coup de grace is, but he also gets shot twice. Once at point blank range with a shotgun.
It's like a double barrel, right?
Yeah. So, spoiler, he dies.
He does.
But when Gal goes to do the job in England to kind of smooth things over and make it seem like, oh yeah, he came, I accepted the job, and whatever, so it doesn't create any suspicion, even though it's very suspicious still. I mean, Ian McShane, his character is very suspicious of him, knows he's full of shit. Teddy Bess. He goes and does the job, but he's still like, there's this... Teddy keeps harassing him, saying, what happened with Don, and where is he, and tell me what happened. And every time Gal gets into the story, you can tell that Teddy knows, I know that you're full of shit. And then he tells him so much at the very end, when he, says, hey, if I actually gave a fuck about this guy, you would be dead. Because he knows that he never got on the plane, never went home. He knows that something probably happened to him in Spain, and he was right, because something did happen. And then there's a little bit at the very end where you see, like, his ghost, basically. Mm-hmm. Where Gal says, oh, you were right, I did do the job, but, you're dead, so... I don't have to listen to you anymore. And there's that great shot of like the demon rabbit kicking in the coffin. He just like turns around with the cigarette and just gives it like the rabbit like a really like nasty look. Yeah. Like, why are you disturbing me?
Is the rabbit demon thing supposed to be the sexy beast?
No, sexy beast is Gal. Okay. Yeah, because Dawn is talking later on. About like how Gal used to be beautiful, and I guess he was like an Adonis type. Got older, went to Spain, living the good life, got fat. He gets called out on that by Dawn a couple times.
Gotcha.
He refers to him as Idi Amin. But yeah, sexy beast is Gal.
Okay.
And I think there's even like a picture on the wall in their bedroom of him when he was younger. No, the rabbit's just his nightmare haunting him, basically.
It's supposed to be, the demon rabbit thing is supposed to be, I think, like representing like his past, right? Like his past life where he can't really ever escape it, and that's why it's like pulling out weapons or whatever. And there's always this kind of...
Yeah, because he sees it in the restaurant when Teddy comes to see him. Mm-hmm. He sees the rabbit instead of Teddy, and then all of a sudden, like, Teddy is standing there. Big year for Demon Rabbits, because it's the same year that Donnie Darko comes out. Even though this one looks much scarier than the Donnie Darko one.
I also I tried to watch that Richard Kelly movie the other day again. What the fuck is it
Southland
called?
Tales?
Yes! Because Arrow put it out, so I was all...
It's not a good movie, dude.
Yeah, Arrow put it out, so I was all... Is there something I was missing, or is it actually just like... I didn't watch it at the right time, so then I sat there and I watched about 35, 40 minutes of it, and I was just like, dude, I can't.
I always heard, like, good things about that movie. Like, oh, it's actually, like, really good and everything, and I tried watching it, and I was like, no, it's not. Like, it's not. That guy was a flash in the pan. Unfortunately, he might have had, like, a promising career, but Donnie Darko was really the only thing that connected.
What about The Box? Have you seen that?
I have seen The Box. It's a bad movie.
It's bad?
Yeah.
I don't remember it too much.
I don't remember much at all because it was so bad, and I was just happy that it was over. And even, I mean, we've talked about it before, even the Donnie Darko, like, director's cut is bad because it tries to over-explain anything and get rid of any kind of mystery or ambiguity that the original theatrical cut has. The only other thing I know he's done is write Domino.
Oh, he wrote Domino?
Yeah.
Like the Tony Scott one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. You learn something new every day.
Yep. That's why I was surprised. Like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, he wrote that? And then, why are his movies so trash? Even though I know Domino probably has a lot of people that really don't like it.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. The thing I don't like about it is, like, the real, like, insane editing.
Yeah, it's kind of harsh.
Yeah, but I think Keira Knightley is great in it, and I think that Mickey Rourke is pretty awesome in it.
And they have that Exhibit song. Do you remember?
Doesn't it play like over the credits,
yeah,
like the beginning credits?
Motherfucker.
Yeah, it plays. Yeah, it's the title. It's the title sequence. But yeah, no, you're not missing anything with Southland Tales. It's garbage.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did watch the whole thing.
Okay.
I forced myself to watch the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah, and Justin Timberlake's bad.
Yeah.
It's so weird. the cast that he got together is great because it's like so many people you wouldn't think of.
It's got to be just people that were fans of Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
You know, he was coasting on that rep for however many years. And obviously, you know, once Southland Tales didn't connect and The Box didn't connect, what has he done? If anyone is a fan of Southland Tales, please write in.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your take. At what point does it get better? I'll fast forward to it.
I mean, we're kind of all over the place, but
that's fine.
As we said at the top of the show, I don't have a whole lot of notes on this. There's very little research to do on it. I'm just going to talk up Ben Kingsley and how fucking rad he is in this movie.
But we also got to give Ray his due diligence, right?
Absolutely. He's awesome in it. These two, and by the way, these two are in another movie together. They don't share scenes, though. I'll give you 3 guesses as to what it is. This is Sexy Beast is a movie that I watched like 5 or 6 times in the theater.
Yeah.
At least 5. Definitely 5, maybe 6, if I'm trying to remember. They're both in another movie, which I absolutely adore, which I watched another 5 or 6 times in the theater. One of those times was with you.
Oh,
however
my God.
Many times.
Hugo.
Yes.
God. It's so dumb.
They're both in Hugo, which I think Kingsley is so fucking good in. And Winstone has a couple of brief cameos because he's Hugo's uncle, Uncle Claude. Honestly, it didn't even occur to me till I was watching this movie again for the show last week. And I was like, oh, yeah, like they're both in Hugo. Because Kingsley had worked with Scorsese a couple times. I think he's so fucking good in Hugo. And he's very good in Shutter Island as well. And Winstone was in The Departed.
Yeah,
and then
Mr. French.
Mr. French. And then pops up in Hugo because he's Uncle Claude. He's the guy that takes charge of Hugo after his father passes away.
That's right. I forgot Kingsley's in Shutter Island too. That's why I was getting confused.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck? Which movie?
So you can see that, like, when I really fall in love with the movie, I'll watch it so many times, and I'll still watch it. Like, if you put it on now, I will watch that movie. Whether it's Sexy Beast or Hugo or Mulholland Drive. We were talking about Ghostbusters last week, or what was that? 2 weeks ago? I mean, how many times have I seen Ghostbusters? It's clearly over 100. A 40-year-old movie. I'm in my mid-40s now. I've seen it so many fucking times. Again, if you put it on right now, we're going to stop the show and I'm going to watch it.
We're going to come back.
This is one of those movies where, for some reason, it really connected with me when I saw it, and I just could not get enough of it. And would watch as many times as I could in the theater. So, and Hugo, a future movie that you and I will talk about on this podcast, is one of those movies as well, which they're both in, surprisingly, like playing characters the complete opposite of who they play in this movie. But yeah, shout out to Ray Winstone, Mr. French. He's so good in The Departed.
Yeah, that's how I do. Almost, like, I would say a defining role for him.
Oh yeah.
Like every scene, he's not in in every scene, but when he does show up,
he's got the presence.
Yeah, scene stiller for sure.
Get him his cranberry juice. But he's good in that. The Proposition.
That's right. Okay.
Fucking great movie that we talk about every now and then. He's so good in that. Winstone's great. Loving his life until this dude shows up and just completely upends it. And he's just so worn out.
They do a great job, well, everybody does, of even before Kingsley's, Dawn shows up. Everybody's like, oh shit, like in fear.
Oh, dude, like when they like meet up at dinner.
Yeah.
And H and Jackie tell him that, Dawn called. Like, Winstone and Dee Dee are super happy. Like, they're having a good time at the restaurant, but as soon as, like, they come in all sullen and they spread that news to him, or they tell him the news that Dawn called, like, the whole, like, atmosphere just completely changes, and everyone is just so depressed that, like, they can't enjoy, and Winstone's, like, forcing himself to have a good time.
And then they drop even more bad news where they're like, Yeah, and he's coming into town like tomorrow.
Yeah. Tell him I'm retired. And he goes, oh, you can tell him yourself. He's coming tomorrow. And it's like, ugh. I mean, they must have all known him. Obviously, Jackie has a prior relationship with him as well.
Yep.
But I mean, from their time in London, I'm gonna guess. So they know what he's all about. Yeah, like that whole dinner scene, just like the whole vibe of that dinner completely changes when he gets brought up.
Yeah, it's super uncomfortable. Great writing.
The script is fantastic.
And to do something like this in under an hour and 30 and have it be so on point that's so crazy.
I want to know how much of Kingsley's dialogue was scripted or if he went off book every now and then.
Like improv?
Yeah, like, because it's just, he gets on that roll and he's just like rapid fire.
And even, like he'll say something under his breath and it's like back and forth, like almost like switching personalities.
Yeah.
Pretty sure they say cunt a record amount of times in this.
I have the exact amount of times because I have a quote from Jeremy Thomas, who is the producer of the film. So let me read you this quote. Jonathan Glazer was a television commercials director in the UK and a wonderful talent. We were sent this script, which he was attached to, and out came this wonderful film. It was very stimulating having a first-time talent. The dialogue, as you see in the film, is exceptional. I had never read a script like it and thought, this has got to be made. It was very difficult to get insurance on the film, actually, when the American studio bought the film. Now, that would be Fox Searchlight. Their legal department said, you cannot make this. It has something like 300 uses of the C word and 400 fucks. But somehow it passed the censorship and got out there. So the actual count is there are 21 C-bombs in the film, although it seems like a lot more. And 115 F-bombs in it. So I just thought that was funny. Like, he's over-exaggerating, but it sounds like a lot more. Simply because of the rapid fire. But I was curious, like, how much was actually scripted and how much Kingsley just went off. Yeah, his dialogue is exceptional in the film. So, circling back to Glazer here really quick. This was his first movie, obviously. He was mainly like a television commercial director, as Thomas said, but he also directed a lot of music videos for some very big bands at the time, and still are a couple. Radiohead. He did the Karma Police and the Street Spirit videos. Uncle, Rabbit in Your Headlights, which if you haven't seen that video, you should check it out. It's really good. The Jamiroquai Virtual Insanity video, which is probably the one that he's best known for. And then Massive Attack's Karma Coma and Live With Me. I think Live With Me, I think is Rosamund Pike. I think she's in that video.
Really?
I think so. Uncle. But their album Science Fiction is incredible. That's one of the best kind of hip-hop, trip-hop albums out there. Obviously, Radiohead is still huge. Massive Attack, great band. Another band that I'm still am way into.
Yeah.
And Jamiroquai, is he still doing things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that he was big like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s.
I know Tyler, the creator, just gave him a shout out saying that that's his favorite musician of all time or something. So that's crazy. So
he does some a lot and check out his list of music videos. You'd probably be surprised, but those are some of the big ones from some of the bigger names out there. So the basic plot of this movie is Gal's retired in Spain with his wife. He has his friends. Don shows up because there's going to be a heist that some people are putting together in London, and they want Gal in on it. And they send Don to talk to him and convince him to do the job. And Kingsley is very relentless in his pursuit of Gal to do this job. And just almost to the point of being like childish. Where every time he says no, he's like, yes.
Yes.
you know, the way that Gal starts talking and Don just starts repeating what he's saying like a child would.
It's like this really bizarre way of intimidation.
Yeah. He won't take no for an answer. He keeps telling him he needs to do the job. He keeps telling him to fuck off. He needs to do the job. One of my favorite exchanges is Gal says, I'm just going to have to turn this opportunity down. And Don says, you're just going to have to turn this opportunity yes. And then when he's, you know, completely bugging him, and Gal says, you know, stop it. And he's like, stop what? What am I doing?
Yeah, like gaslighting him.
Yeah.
Gaslighting the fuck out of him.
He is trying to convince him to do this job and just will not take no for an answer. But his story about how he got this job proposed to him is really cool, and the cross-cutting between those scenes with him talking to Gal and then him getting talked to by Stan Higgins, who's like the number 2 guy, the Teddy Bess, who's Ian McShane's character, Teddy Bess. Even McShane, like an early role from McShane, at least to American audiences. I mean, he goes on to do Deadwood, which is 2 or 3 years after this movie. I think Deadwood starts. And then becomes very big, very well known in the States because of that. Obviously, we've talked John Wick like plenty of times, which he's probably just as well known now in that as he was for Deadwood.
Did you hear about what he said recently about the Continental show?
No, did he call it trash?
Not that, but he was like, yeah, that's just a cash grab.
I don't disagree with him. I haven't watched it. I really don't care to watch it. Again, like, does everything need a prequel? No.
Oh yeah, that is kind of a. I guess it is kind of
it's like a 70s set prequel, right? And Winston's a character in it, is he not?
Yeah, but it's not McShane.
Yeah, it's not McShane.
Yeah.
It's like a younger, whomever is supposed to be the younger version of him, right? Yeah, I don't disagree with his assessment of that TV show. So there's the cross-cutting between Don talking to Gal and Don being proposed this job by Stan. And then it, like, Stan's story leads into Teddy's story about how Teddy came across this job during an orgy. Or he met the dude that runs the bank during the orgy. Which is, that whole exchange is really funny, too, where they're just, like, in between things. And he's like, oh, what are you staring at? And the guy's just, like, staring at him. Yeah. He's like, oh, the back of your head. He says, oh, stare at the back of your own fucking head. And then he, like, asks him, like, men or women. And the guy just looks him up and says, oh, definitely. So he obviously fucks this guy, uses that as the in to check out the bank and case that place, and then comes up with the idea to rob it and figures out that we can tunnel through the wall in the bathhouse to get into the bank underwater, which is a really good plan. And that's the heist that gets pulled off at the end of the film, as you see them in the pool of the bathhouse, jackhammering through the wall to get to the bank next door, and then they end up flooding the safe deposit box area to get in there. My favorite part is when they're in there, there's a guy that pulls out, like, the urn, doesn't know what it is, and he opens it, and, like, all the ashes go spilling out of it, and he completely freaks out. So Don is there to try and convince him to take this job, and says, hey, these people want you for the job. You're wanted in London on Friday. It's, like, earlier in the week. It's like, what, Wednesday or Thursday? When this film takes place, or when he and Don are talking. There's a super funny exchange at the beginning when Don comes to the house and he's just sitting there, and, like, everyone's just sitting in silence, and they each ask him, like, how his brother is. He's like, oh, what, like Malky? He's okay. I don't know, you have to ask him yourself. How was the fight? And he's like, it was all right. That's all he says. And it's just, like, awkward small talk. And then you get the sense that, like, while they were in the car, even driving from the airport, like, nobody said shit.
Yeah, the way that he's sitting, he's kind of, like, hovering over all of them.
So just that whole exchange, then H is going to take the ladies out to to lunch or dinner or whatever. I'm guessing it's lunch. It's still daytime. And Kingswood gives him a fucking hard time about that. Like, aren't I invited? And H like completely freezes up and is like stuttering and being like, what? No, yeah, of course you can come. He's like, no, I'm joking. I'm going to pay for your lunch. Here you go. Tries to give him the money. So he's completely bugging them. They go to like the bar. He tells the story about Jackie, how he fucked Jackie, how she stuck the finger up his ass, and he wasn't into it, but still he still really likes her. And then when Gal Chana asks him about it, he's like, "What? I'm not repeating what I said." And then they ask to go see the ocean. And they're looking at the ocean, and then he's out there, and he's still fucking bugging them about the job. And then he's like, he's like yelling at him, he's calling him fat, he's calling him lazy. And he's like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna just put it to you simply. He's like, are you gonna do the job? It's a simple yes or no question. He's been asking this fucking question for like hours on end, and Gal keeps giving them the same answer. No, I'm not interested in the job. I'm retired. No, and he's like, I'm going to ask you a simple question, yes or no. And when he says no, he's like, yes. No, yes. And then they go back to the house. And again, it's like that super awkward sitch where they're just like all sitting around. Like H is talking about the steak. Dawn is like giving Jackie like the eye. She's super uncomfortable by that. And then Gal gets up to like go get drinks. Dee Dee gets up. It's just H and Jackie and Dawn. And then at one point, like, H just gets up and bails. And the look that Jackie gives him when he gets up, because she just left alone there with this dude who, like, obviously really fucking creeps her out. They have a history. And she's not into it. But Dawn just, like, keeps staring at her. And then finally when he, like, kind of, not reaches over, but kind of leans in to talk to her, like she just gets up and walks away, and they're all just like they're scared in the kitchen. They just don't want to be out with Dawn. You gave it 4 out of 5 boulders, so let's talk about the boulder and what it actually means in the film, or the context of the boulder in the film.
Well, so the way that I interpret it is when the movie starts, Gal is kind of sunbathing out on his pool deck, right? When
the title card comes up and his junk's like right in the camera because he's wearing like the nugget Speedo. Pouch Speedo.
And then doesn't he grab like a washcloth or something and puts it on his
Yeah, it's like an ice water.
Yeah. Super off-putting way to start.
It's playing the Strangler song, great Strangler song.
Oh yeah. And don't we meet his like kind of pool boy?
Yeah, like his pool boy, like helper around the house. One of the local kids.
Seems like a good kid.
Yeah, they have a good rapport with one another. He's like giving them a hard time about like scrubbing the tiles.
And then all of a sudden, this huge ass boulder just comes barreling down and narrowly misses Gal by a few inches. It looks like it falls perfectly into this kind of the center of the pool, and then they realize what has happened. But going back to what does it mean in the context of the movie, I think that that's kind of foreshadowing what he goes through later on in the movie with Dawn. Dawn arrives, and he is now that boulder, right?
And there's like they both jump in and they're like trying to push it.
It's like
I think he's got to weigh like 1,000 pounds, maybe more.
How do you think that they did that? Foam?
Oh yeah, that's definitely like foam or fiberglass or something. And then there's a little bit of CGI, as you can see it kind of rolling down right behind, or a rear projection or something as it's coming down behind him. And then probably CGI as it goes over his head.
It's pretty clean.
Yeah.
Looking.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that it's like very fast, that you don't think about it. But falls into the pool. And then like Dee Dee comes by and he's under the water and he looks up at her and he's like, "Oh, boulder." He like says boulder underwater. And then he jumps up and she's like, what is that? He's like, oh, it's a fucking boulder, big fucking boulder, just like came down the hill, almost killed me. But then he tells the kid, your guy with the truck, like, have him come by so we can get it taken out of the pool. And then later on, as they're taking the boulder out, he tells the kid, like, don't come around here for a couple days because he knows that Don's going to be there. And even the kid, he doesn't listen to him because he does come back. He's very curious about what's going on and who Don is. But when he tells him not to come back, like, they have that little, like, kind of like boxing, just kind of like fake boxing with each other. Mm-hmm. So you can tell that, like, he really cares about the kid. And, they have that good relationship with each other. And then he tries to shoo him away as soon as he comes back, curious, because Don's like, oh yeah, there's a kid looking at us. And then Gal gets up and is like, hey, like, stay away, like, don't come around here.
And then he ends up coming back the night. So Gal and Don get into a big argument where Don gets pissed and he's like, well, you better just call me a taxi then. I'm going back home. Oh, dude,
it's wild. Like, he's like talking to himself in the bathroom, like talking to himself in the mirror. He pisses on their carpet for like no reason other than just to be a dick. No pun intended. Yeah. He's like just pissing in the toilet, and then all of a sudden he just kind of like turns a little bit and pisses on the carpet. He's very much the agent of chaos.
And then he just kicks open, it's like early in the morning.
Yeah, he just
kicks open the door and just like punches fucking Gal in the face.
Yeah.
He's like, wake up, you lazy fuck. Or something.
Yeah, he's like psyching himself out in the mirror, talking to himself, shaving, and then he just goes in there and like beats him. And poor Gal is just like, he's got the bruise on his face, but like he's just so worn out by this. I don't know how many times I can say this. I don't want to do the job. And then Kingsley just lays into him like absolutely crazy. Has his little tantrum, kicks like the cabinet a couple times. Just, he doesn't want to admit defeat, but he does. He's like, I want to leave right now. Call me a cab. Call me a taxi.
And then he gives the flight crew a problem, and it's so fucking funny.
It's so funny. Just like him smoking that cigarette, and you see like the flight attendant come by, and she's like, "Oh, you gotta put that out." And he's like, "Why? I'm not gonna put it out. We can't take off without it." And he's like, "Well, that's your problem."
He's so, well, I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to wait till I finish. And then the guy behind him's like, "Hey, pal, what's your problem? Just put it out." And he's all, "Oh, sure, pal. I'll fucking put it out on your eye. How about that? If I stub it out on your eye, would you like that?" And the guy's all scared.
He already has the presence of someone, but yeah, like, I wouldn't mess with that dude. That guy looks crazy. I wouldn't be fucking with him. And then when the flight crew comes to kick him off, he gets up, he grabs his shit, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll smoke it outside." And he's like, "Open the door," and he's like, "I hope this crashes," as he like leaves.
He turns around and that's what he said. So then they pull him into to security, right?
And he tells that whole story, and that story is completely made up. He makes up this entire story as an excuse to get off the plane and just go back to Gal because he cannot accept the defeat. And he doesn't want to like turn tail and go back. So he creates this whole fucking story, whether he believes it or not, as to, oh, this is what happened. I was sexually assaulted by one of the flight crew. That's why I lit the cigarette. He has this whole fucking spiel. And it was something that he just made up as an excuse to get kicked off the plane and have the excuse to go back to Gal's house.
And then he tells him, he's all, "And I don't want you to fire them or reprimand them. It's not that big of a deal."
He's like, "I don't want to lose the man his job." He's like, "Man's got to eat." Yeah. He's like, "I just want you to have a talking to with him." He basically just wants someone to acknowledge what happened. That's all. Because, again, he just made up some wild fucking story
to get out of that security issue.
With like the kinds of details where no one would question. It's like, oh, I made up all these details, put myself in this bad position to the point where no one can really challenge me on it. They just have to accept this is something, and they don't want a big deal made out of it, so we'll just not charge you with anything, and we'll let you go. So he goes back to the house, and immediately is like coming out of the cab hot, just yelling and screaming, calling him all kinds of names, telling H he's going to fucking kill him if he keeps looking at him, berating Jackie, berating Dee Dee.
Then he smashes Gal in the head with a bottle, right?
Yeah. So Gal's bloodied up and on the ground, and that's when Dee Dee checks on him, and then that's when the kid shows up again.
With the rifle.
With the rifle, which misfired earlier in the film when they're hunting the rabbits. He goes to shoot, and it just kind of puffs smoke and then fires. There's like the delayed discharge. And H and Gal are fucking laughing their asses off at him. And then H goes to shoot the rabbit later on with like his Winchester. And as soon as he goes to cock it, like the lever off. Completely falls off. And Gal has a fucking laugh at that one too. But yeah, the kid shows up with the rifle, and then that's when Dee Dee runs back into the house to grab the shotgun. And Dawn, takes the rifle from the kid, hits him over the head with it, and turns around, and Dee Dee's there holding the shotgun. And then it cuts. So you don't see what happens. You see it in the flashback later on as as Gal is trying to pull off the job and talk his way out of trouble with Teddy and Stan. But she ends up shooting him, and then Gal starts beating him. And the entire time he's getting beaten, Dawn is just still talking shit.
He's all, help me, you cunt.
Talking shit to the very end, gets shot again, point blank. And then it's just like, oh, I fucked Jackie. He just like, he like throws that out. It's like the last thing he says is that he like fucked Jackie just to like get one over on H. And then that's when H drops the TV on his head. But again, he's in the movie, a half hour?
What, do you have this physically?
Absolutely, I do.
What's the cover?
It's his face and then like the four other characters, Gal and Dee Dee and Jackie H at the bottom.
Is Kingsley big?
Yeah,
okay.
Kingsley's like the big face. The original artwork, like the poster artwork, would have been cool. And I think there's like an out of print Shout Factory or Arrow Video, or no, it's what's the other one? But they have a Blu-ray of it that's out of print. Unfortunately, I've been trying to get it, but it's like $60-$70, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pay that much for it. But I want that one that has the shot of Gal in the Speedo laying down on the lounge chair.
That's the cover?
By the pool. That's the cover, yeah. But do you have it physical?
I don't. I rented this.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Digitally.
Okay.
For the show, but this was one I don't have.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm sure you can still probably. I mean, I have a DVD copy. That's all I have. Unfortunately, I don't think it's ever been released outside of that special edition that's out of print. Gal goes to do the job, tries talking his way out of the trouble that he's in with Teddy and Stan. And whenever they show like the other guys in the crew, they're just like smash cutted to them just like laughing. I don't think any of them have any fucking dialogue beyond like one guy talking about how long it's going to take to pull out the job. They're at the restaurant before the heist because they have like the chopsticks. Yeah, and they're at the bar because Teddy walks in when they're at the bar.
After they pulled it off.
After they pull it off, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, they just like smash cut, and all the dudes are just like laughing their asses off and like making funny gestures with their hands and everything. But there's like no dialogue between any of them. And Gal goes and talks to Dee Dee on the phone and tells her that he loves her. She makes him strong. They'll get through this. Because obviously he's in a bad situation. She's very worried about him and his well-being and his safety because he killed one of their guys. Pull off the heist after he gets talked to by Teddy multiple times. Wants the story. Says, "Oh yeah, Don called me, so I know that he left. I know that he landed in London." And Teddy's like, "Well, he didn't call you from Heathrow." And he's like, "Well, I don't know. He called me. Whether or not he was at Heathrow, he said he was, but it couldn't be." But Teddy knows, again, he's full of shit. And so after they pull the heist, he says, come take a ride with me. And you know that on the ride, like, Gao is thinking this is it. Go to the house of the guy that owns the bank. And do you think that guy was in on it? Or is he just killing him to get rid of the loose end?
The way that I interpret that is that he was killing him so when...
There wouldn't be any connection.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a connection, and he can't be questioned.
Yeah.
Because it could lead back to Teddy, right?
Yeah. So he kills that guy, and then turns the gun on Gao, and then intimidates him, and then, forgets about it, gets in the car, drops him at the airport, and that's when he drops him at the airport, he says, "Hey, basically, I know that you're full of shit, I know that you're lying, and if I really cared about Don and the fact that you killed him, you'd be a dead man, but I really don't care."
And you can see it in Gao's face that he thinks that he's done for.
Yeah.
And
basically doesn't give him any money except $10 or £10 for the job. Like, that's it. And I'm sure Gao is very, very happy to escape with just his life. Doesn't give a shit about the money. He does have the earrings that he stole from one of the boxes, though, to give to Dee Dee. But hey, I mean, I would be happy too.
Teddy's like, "Get the fuck out of my car."
Gladly. And then at the very end, they're all talking, and then you can see the bottom of the pool where they retiled. That's obviously where they buried Don's body, is in the pool, and then they tiled over it. And then there's that funny shot of the rabbit, like, kicking in his coffin. I don't think that they buried him in a real coffin. It's all just figurative, but kicking in the coffin, and then Don gives him that fucking look like, "What the fuck do you want?"
Credits roll.
89 minutes. Or was it 88?
88.
It works in thirds, basically. You have the first act before Dawn shows up. You have the whole act where Dawn is there, and then the heist, like, post-Dawn.
Very good. It was good, man. This is a good pick, dude.
Thank you. It's a movie that I absolutely love, that I don't know how widely known it is. But, I mean, if you haven't seen it, you have to see this movie for Kingsley's performance. It's so insane.
This was one that I feel like you kind of unlocked a memory where I had forgotten that I had seen this. And I was like, "Oh, yeah.
When we set the schedule at Christmas time, did you remember then that you had seen it?
Yes.
It just, it's not in your consciousness. No one's really brought it up to you in years.
I just didn't know I couldn't remember what happened in the movie. But I remember Ben Kingsley, and everyone. But I just couldn't remember how it ended, or that very, very little about it.
Yeah.
So, thank you. For
no problem.
Making this relevant.
No problem. Again, like, this is a movie that I was absolutely obsessed with, and has great performances in it. But that Kingsley performance is out of this world. I just wish I could remember, like, how this movie came across, like, my radar. But I watched it, like, opening night.
Really?
Yeah. We got together, Joel and some other friends of ours, had dinner, and then went to go check this movie out, and then it was just like, whoa, that movie fucking rules. Let me take these friends to this movie. Let's go watch this movie again. Let me take these friends to this movie. Let's go watch this movie again. Let's go watch it again. Let's go watch it again. Let's go watch it again, because just obsessed.
Did everybody like it that you took?
So far as I know, everyone did, yeah. So his Kingsley performance is what earns the majority of the praise for the movie. The movie's very well reviewed, as the Rotten Tomatoes score shows you. But it's Kingsley's performance, obviously. You can't ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Wins Best Supporting Actor awards from the Broadcast Film Critics Association, the Boston Society of Film Critics, Dallas-Fort Worth Film Critics Association, Florida Film Critics Circle, the San Diego Film Critics Circle, shout out San Diego, Southeastern Film Critics Association, and the Toronto Film Critics Association. He also gets nominated for a Screen Actors Guild, which he loses to Ian McKellen for Gandalf in The Fellowship of the Ring. And gets nominated for a Golden Globe and Academy Award. He loses to Jim Broadbent in both of those for his performance in Iris, which, whatever. Best Supporting Actor race that year is pretty solid. As always, supporting actor races usually are. But this is who he's up against. He's up against Ethan Hawke in Training Day. Good performance. McKellen in Fellowship of the Ring, iconic. And Jon Voight in Ali, very good. Probably pre-Jon Voight being an asshole. Like a super trumper like he is now. But he's good as Howard Cosell in Ali. And obviously, I love Michael Mann. So, excited about that. But, I mean, in that group, how did they pick Jim Broadbent for Iris? Like, how could you ignore Kingsley's performance? Or someone who is integral to the film like Ian McKellen or Ethan Hawke is in those films. So that was a bummer that he lost that award. That performance demands your attention. Maybe they thought it was too showy, maybe it was like too many curse words, but that's one of the big oversights.
I mean, a nomination's still pretty cool.
That's cool, but still.
So you think Kingsley should have won over all of them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because he completely dominates that film for the 30 or so minutes that he's in it. And even like you said, even before he shows up, he dominates that scene at the restaurant. And even after he's dead, he's dominating every scene since because of what happened with Dawn. Where's Dawn? You know, Gal is very, very nervous that he's going to get found out. Mm-hmm. And obviously does get found out by Teddy. Teddy just, because he really doesn't care about Dawn, it's probably one less share that he has to pay out anyways. I really don't care. But, you know, I would kill you if I did. And probably insinuates that don't ever come back here or I will kill you. So he dominates that film for 3/4 of it, even when he's not on screen. And when he's on screen, you cannot take your eyes off of him. So yeah, I absolutely think that he should have pulled that award. As deserving as I think that Ethan Hawke or Ian McKellen were in their films. Do you know that Winstone auditioned to play Dawn?
Yeah, as did Anthony Hopkins, right?
Yeah. I obviously we weren't super familiar with Winstone at that point in time in the States.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could see that. Hopkins maybe, but whenever I think Hopkins in like a villainous role, it's obviously like Hannibal Lecter, where he's not insane. He's very, very sane. He's very calm.
Coherent.
Yeah. Not to say that Dawn isn't coherent. It's just he's an absolutely live wire. So I don't know if I could picture those two guys playing Don Logan.
Yeah, I think Ray was better suited for Gal.
Yeah.
I think he was perfect.
McShane, maybe.
For Dawn?
For Dawn.
Yeah.
Because McShane has that energy.
Yeah, he just...
Especially like in Deadwood.
Scary dude.
Yeah.
Intimidating, yeah. Very intimidating. It was cool to see him so young in this.
Yeah.
You know, I think he still looks pretty good for his age.
Yeah, he's still,
no.
However old he is now, he's still a good-looking dude.
Closing thoughts. I would just say search this out.
It's well worth it. It's a good heist movie.
If you have problems...
In the end, but...
if you have problems finding it physically, it is on Apple and Amazon. I think to purchase it, it's a $15, and then to rent it, it's like $3.99, something like that.
I mean, buy it; it's worth it. I'm actually surprised that Paramount Plus isn't carrying it if they're going to play the show.
They do have it on.
They do have it. Okay.
It is streaming, but I don't have that app.
But so it is on Paramount Plus.
It is.
Okay,
it is. Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, no problem. I didn't know. I didn't really look it up because I own it. But yeah, it would shock me if it wasn't streaming on Paramount Plus, considering that they're going to be airing the show.
That'd be a huge missed opportunity, right? Yeah, they are.
Okay. Next month, we're going to talk I guess you could call it like a parody film. It doesn't come off so much as a parody, but definitely a comedy from a actually very successful black director. Another one of my favorite comedies that I've been watching for years since I was in elementary school. Loved it. I think he used the clout from this movie to start a very funny TV show that was another cornerstone in like my comedy youth growing up that I used to watch, that I used to love. And I am sure that there's probably going to be very few notes on this movie as well. But
it's something that I've seen plenty of times as a little kid.
So much funny shit in this movie. Another movie that's probably underseen, and we'll get into that next month, but from a very successful black director, I think at one point in time, the most successful black director. If anyone wants to look that up, my notes will tell us yes or no for sure when we sit down in a month's time.
End of February, right?
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Coming up faster than you think. And maybe at the end of February, we'll be talking like Tenet re-release or how Dune was or something. If we get a chance to catch it early.
Follow us. We have a social media presence. We are now on TikTok. So look us up. Our handle is @DropTheMicPod. Instagram is @DropTheMic_podcast. If you don't know what we do, we go by Drop the Mic. We operate out of San Diego, California, and we are available on a plethora of different platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Luminary, you name it, we should be on there. Third-party apps as well, so check us out. YouTube as well, @DropTheMicPod. I guess we're going to get out of here.
All right.
I'm Wesley Swanson, that's Chris Pawlak, and we're signing off, saying good fight.
Good night.
We're looking at Saturday, but you're needed in London this Friday.
It's a bit sudden, isn't it?
Sudden? No, it's very far from sudden. Teddy's been working on this for 5 months. Dan almost that. I've been in on it for 2. It's not sudden. Preparation. As far as the actual job's concerned, it's a piece of piss. A monkey could do it. That's what I thought of you.
Cheers, Don.
You're at the Grosvenor. Your name's Roundtree. Like Smarties, like Shaft. If they give you a pull, just over here to see some friends, social visit, family, that sort of thing. Somebody will call you, pick you up, probably Mike. What's that supposed to mean?
What?
That stupid nodding you're doing.
Is this a fuck-off, girl? No, of course not.
Are you saying no?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Not exactly.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying, thanks and all that. You know, thanks for thinking of me. But I'm just going to have to turn this opportunity down.
No, you're just going to have to turn this opportunity, yes.
I'm not exactly match fit.
Seem all right to me.
No, not really, Don.
You look fine.
I'm not.
Do the job.
What?
Do the job.
No, Don.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I can't.
You can.
I can't.
That cunt.
Don, don't do this.
Do what?
Look.
What am I doing?
This.
This what?